Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today I'm taking a look at my Model 62A one more time. I decided that I wanted to make a change to it, and when I did, that kind of led to a whole other slew of issues. So I'm going to point that out here in a second. So if you haven't seen my previous videos shooting this particular 62A, this had been modified from the original because you can see here that the front barrel is much shorter, about 3 or 4 inches shorter than it would typically be on a Winchester 62A. So someone had cut this barrel down and they did a new crown. They did somewhat a recessed crown there, and they did a decent job. It's been grouping well, so hasn't been an issue. They did have to cut a new channel for the front sight. And one of the things I wanted to do was the sight it came with did not have the little brass bead on it anymore. Somehow that little bead there that you can see had fallen off. And so I wanted to find a new sight and replace it. And I did that. So when I found the new sight, I tapped the old sight out, and it actually fell out relatively easy. And when it did, I could see a ton of rust in the channel there that had been cut out. So I was able to clean that out using some Evapo rust and a lot of steel wool, very fine steel wool, and cleaned it out. And then I did some cold bluing to it as well. I think whoever had cut the channel didn't blue it in any way, shape, or form. And there was a little bit of gap underneath the front sight and the barrel. So I was letting moisture get in there. So even when I put this new sight in, it was a bit loose. There was a couple of different things I could have done. I'd considered maybe putting a little solder in there to make it tighter, but instead what I did was I ended up using red Loctite. So this front sight's not going to move. It's in there with red Loctite, and that sort of closes this channel here and hopefully will keep moisture out. Unfortunately, that also means that I'm not going to be able to drift this front sight anymore, which could be an issue for sighting it in, but I'll just have to drift the rear sight and hope I can drift it enough to get it on target. Now, the other issue I had been dealing with is the final shot on this rifle. For some reason, it was not ejecting properly. And after doing some research, I realized that there was a difference in the magazine tube. And since this gun obviously had been modified in some way, I'm wondering if maybe the tube that's in there was not the original tube. But I'm going to show you here a little difference, because I ended up finding an aftermarket tube to replace it with. So let me get them both out so I can show the difference. And here's the tube it came with. This is either, I assume this is probably aluminum because it's not rusting at all. It might have a little bit of rust. Maybe it is steel, with a big follower there. And if you look, this follower protrudes quite a bit. And what was happening is, as I tried to work the action with that final round in, this follower was catching the ejector, not letting it go up. And when I looked at a lot of specs, I noticed that the magazine tubes I would see had a much shorter follower. And so I ended up buying this one. You can see it's a new brass tube that does fit the Model 62A. I bought it at the same place where I got the sight that I could replace it with. And if I put these side by side, you can see the big difference there. The new plastic follower doesn't quite go out as much, almost not quite half, but about 3/4 of the way as the steel one does. So I'm not sure if this was the original tube for this 62A. Maybe it was replaced, or for some reason maybe this follower has started to protrude more than it was supposed to for some other reason. But I used this magazine tube and now it's working fine. Even the last round ejects properly. So now what I have to do is I need to see how far off on target I am, because replacing that front sight, I'm sure, completely messed up the sighting in I had previously done on this rifle. So I have a target set up down there. It's at 25 yards. Let me turn this around. You can see it right down there. I've got my camera next to it already. I've loaded this firearm up with a Norma TAC-22. I was going to try a couple of different brands, but this is the one that I had available, or should I say easily available. It was just the quickest one to grab. So let me shoot this through it. I think last time I had sighted this rifle in with standard velocity and some CCI. But I'm sure if I get this one in, because it's a pretty standard 40 grain lead round nose, it would pretty much get me close to on target for any other type of ammunition that I would want to sight it in for. So let me go ahead and get everything ready and we'll start taking our shots. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a few rounds down. Hopefully we're not too far from the center target. I'm also hoping that it's not so far off that I'm going to hit my target camera down there. Got our first round in. And let's see where we're hitting. Ooh, that looks like it's far to the left. Let me fire one more time. Make sure it's grouping there. Yeah, that one hit a little lower, but windage wise, it's about the same spot. That one hit a little bit closer to the bullseye. Might not like this ammo very much, but either way, it looks like I need to drift this sight over a little bit to the right. So let me go ahead and drift the rear sight. I've got this sight drifter I like quite a bit. So it's the rule of fours, which means if you're going to drift the front right, it's opposite in the direction you want the point of impact to go. If it's the rear sight, you need to drift it in the same direction you want the impact to go. So I need to drift the rear sight to the right. Let me go ahead and do that with a few taps here. Let's see. Maybe one more. Good tap. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's moved a little bit. So let's take a couple more shots here. See where that gets us. Wow, is that on target? Let's fire a couple more rounds. Oh, and here comes the wind. Poor butterflies are getting pushed around by the wind. You can see all those butterflies out there. Let's go ahead, take another shot. Let's take a third shot. Okay, let me go see where I'm hitting and whether or not I need to drift some more. So here's our target. And I believe these were the first 3 rounds. That was the last of the third. I think 1, 2, and 3, if I remember correctly. As far as these, I have no idea. It was harder for me to see since they were in the circle. So it looks like I may need to give it one more small tap, but I don't like how these are grouping. This is grouping terribly, really, at 25 yards, which is the distance I'm shooting at. So let me try a different ammunition. In fact, I think I'm going to go fancy. I think I got some Elay. If I don't find standard velocity, we'll shoot the Elay, but if I can find standard velocity in my bag, I think I'd probably prefer to shoot that since it's more likely what I will use in this firearm. And then once we got that set up, I'll try to maybe shoot at one of these 2 targets. Okay, luckily I was able to find some standard velocity, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I think I drifted it one more little punch over just to see if that's going to help. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shoot at that top right target and see how well I'm hitting. Okay, I'm waiting for the breeze to calm down. We got quite a breeze that popped up here. It feels good, but I'm trying to get the most accurate shot as possible. There we go, it's calming down now. Oh, did that one hit slightly to the right? I may have to drift it back now. Let's see here. I'm going to shoot 5 just to see, well, to get a better impression of where we are hitting. Ooh, what happened there? Let me see if that was a misfire. Yeah, it was. Interesting. Four, and this should be 5. Okay, that's 5 shots, standard velocity. Let's go take a look at our target. And here we are at our target with a little bit of breeze pushing it back and forth. But boy, yeah, you can see, look how it was grouping. Well, I mean, this is one group here, and then this is another group here on the Norma, and on the CCI standard velocity. Yeah, this particular little Winchester really likes it. I mean, that's a good little group there. I'm hitting just to the right and just to the left of the center target, and Unfortunately, I didn't bring my good glasses with me today, so so I'm not going to adjust it anymore because this is probably dead on. Hopefully when I get back, I'll be able to wear the better shooting glasses I have to help me focus a little more at range. Getting old sucks, people. It really does. But anyway, I mean, this is great for 25 yards. Obviously, if I was just plinking with this, shooting small steel targets with my friends or my friends' kids, this is gonna work just fine. So very successful, and I'm happy about that because the video I did earlier was with my Marlin and it's still misfiring, and that was very frustrating. So it's really nice now and then when you go shooting, you try to adjust a sight and you actually get it done, and we got it done. So thanks for watching, everyone. This Model 62A, they are fun little gallery guns. I know they're hard to find, although there are some manufacturers that make reproductions of them. And yeah, I mean, lever actions are fun and bolt actions are fun, but there's something to be said for a slide action 22 long rifle. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.